It looks like everybody's made their way to their seats. So I want to welcome you all to the 2019 Fayette County Chamber of Commerce Annual Dinner and Awards Banquet. My name is Andy Yarian, and I'm going to be your MC for tonight, okay? So this is America. In America, before every great event, I would like for everybody to stand, and we're going to sing the national anthem, and we're also going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. And so if I can invite Stacy Ware up to the front to lead us in our national anthem and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming? Who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Excellent job. Well, I don't think I could follow that up. I don't think I'm going to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. So, I'll turn around and we'll go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get going. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. You may be seated. And again, before we get too far in tonight's festivities, I will say that I'd like to thank the Norris English Pub and Lindy Liquors, as well as Chef Martina Schomel for providing tonight's buffet and as well as the appetizers, okay? So as we get going through dinner here, we are going to have Mrs. Ginger Shaw. She's going to kind of play the table captain. I'll let you go table by table, so I'm going to let her take charge, and then I'll be back with you once dinner's over. Thank you. Oh, wait. The most important part of this whole thing. I have to ask Pastor Richie Ware to come up and do the invocation. I almost forgot. How terrible of me. Sorry. I mean, it's been like since noon since I've eaten, so I'm sorry.
Please bow our heads for a moment of prayer. Father God, we come seeking you this evening. Father, I see all the different businesses that are represented here in our community. And Father, I ask for a blessing upon them, a blessing upon the individuals who make up these businesses, these schoolings and everything in our community, Father, that they have families, that you would bless them. God, that you would bless them with wisdom and knowledge and enlarge their territory and grow their influence. Father, we want to say a prayer for the food that we're all about to receive, Father. Ask you, God, that you would bless the hands of those people who have prepared it. And God, we thank you for allowing all those people who have traveled to get here and to get home safely. And Father, most of all, we want to thank you for loving us first when we didn't even love ourselves sometimes. God, thank you. And we would do this all in your Son's name as we pray. Amen.
Okay, so now thank you, Pastor Ware. So now we'll have Mrs. Ginger Scholl will dismiss the tables and we'll eat. Thank you. Okay, well, it looks like everybody's made their way to their seats. So I want to welcome you all to the 2019 Fayette County Chamber of Commerce Annual Dinner and Awards Banquet. My name is Andy Yarian, and I'm going to be your MC for tonight, okay? So this is America. In America, before every great event, I would like for everybody to stand, and we're going to sing the national anthem, and we're also going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. And so if I can invite Stacy Ware up to the front to lead us in our national anthem and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming? Who broad stripes and broad stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Excellent job. Well, I don't think I could follow that up. I don't think I'm going to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. So, I'll turn around and we'll go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get going. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. You may be seated. And again, before we get too far in tonight's festivities, I will say that I'd like to thank the Norris English Pub and Lindy Liquors, as well as Chef Martina Schomel for providing tonight's buffet and as well as the appetizers, okay? So as we get going through dinner here, we are going to have Mrs. Ginger Scholl. She's going to kind of play the table captain. I'll let you go table by table, so I'm going to let her take charge, and then I'll be back with you once dinner's over. Thank you. Oh, wait. The most important part of this whole thing. I have to ask Pastor Richie Ware to come up and do the invocation. I almost forgot. How terrible of me. Sorry. I mean, it's been like since noon since I've eaten, so I'm sorry.
Please bow our heads for a moment of prayer. Father God, we come seeking you this evening. Father, I see all the different businesses that are represented here in our community. And Father, I ask for a blessing upon them, a blessing upon the individuals who make up these businesses, these schoolings and everything in our community, Father, that they have families, that you would bless them. God, that you would bless them with wisdom and knowledge and enlarge their territory and grow their influence. Father, we want to say a prayer for the food that we're all about to receive, Father. Ask you, God, that you would bless the hands of those people who have prepared it. And God, we thank you for allowing all those people who have traveled to get here and to get home safely. And Father, most of all, we want to thank you for loving us first when we didn't even love ourselves sometime. God, thank you. And we would do this all in your Son's name as we pray. Amen.
Okay, so now thank you, Pastor Ware. So now we'll have Mrs. Ginger Scholl will dismiss the tables and we'll eat. Thank you.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure to have these events where we can, after a few really cold and snowy weeks, kind of break out and just get together again as a community. Pastor Ware, thank you for that invocation because it's a great gathering of our businesses. And our business community is what makes Fayette County a great place to live. And we appreciate each one of our businesses, our nonprofit organizations, and the individuals that do so much to serve in this community. Thank you. I always like to make a point to thank our elected officials for taking time out of their busy schedule to be here this evening. We have several that are with us today. On the local level, we have Mayor Harold Gordon and First Lady Pat Gordon that's here, so you don't need to stand. I know you're on a recovery here, and we're just glad to know that you could come out tonight. Thank you. We have our City Council member, Dave Nutty. And on his better half, we have Fayette County Recorder Ruth Nutty. So thank you both for being here. Fayette County Commissioner, that sounds good, Dale Strong is here tonight. Thank you. And we also have with us this evening our Fayette County Superior Court Judge, Paul Freed. And our Fayette County Prosecutor, Betty Jo Jones. The relationships we keep on not just the local level, but with our regional, state representatives and senators, and on the federal level is very important. There's information and key issues that we get from them and that we can share with them to let them know that Fayette County matters and what those issues are. And with us tonight, we have two representatives. We have the district director from Senator Todd Young's office, Melissa Acton. Thank you for being here, Melissa. And John Moten, the regional director of U.S. Senator Mike Braun, is here this evening as well. Thank you, John, for joining us. You can read the program yourself. There's a lot of thanks and special thanks that we want to extend for those who have made this night and have transformed this expo hall into what you're enjoying this evening. And Martina, wow, better than what I could ever have cooked. Thank you so much. That was amazing dinner. There's a few other thanks that are not in your program that I do want to acknowledge. We have Pastor Steve Kirkwood here from Baptist Temple. They provided the staging that we have here tonight. And there were so many others that from our board, from our diplomat committee and spouses that were consigned into work that put a lot of the physical labor and work together with the chandeliers and the decorations. And we're so grateful for the things that you do behind the scenes. I'm grateful for our diplomat committee. They're the hosts of tonight's event that brought this to you. And you need to know who those individuals are. In your program, if you would turn to your front page, Renee Nesbitt is the chairwoman of our committee. She's with Fayette Regional Health System. Jim Birch with State Farm Insurance. Brian Durham with Whitewater Broadcasting Corporation. Colleen Frame with Independence and Title Company. an escrow company, excuse me, Carol Hunter with FCN Bank. And what a fantastic opening reception FCN Bank provided for us today. Thank you so much, Carol Hunter and Tom Horninger and the FCN Bank team. We appreciate that. Karen Lippincott with Karen Lippincott Insurance, Sharon McQueen with the Whitewater Valley Arts Association, our newest diplomat to join us, Pam Parrott with Union Savings and Loan Association, Anna Pugsley with Connorsville News Examiner, Shirley Risch with American Heritage Realty, Ginger Scholl with the Fayette County Senior Center, Melinda Sudoff with the Fayette County Clerk's Office, but she's retired. And so she's continuing on. It's in a privileged position as a retiree to continue on with an associate chamber membership. And we're so grateful that she wants to continue serving with us. And I saved Kelly Isaacs for last. Kelly is an employee with Purdue Cooperative Extension. But as you can see on the sign behind me, she's also runs her own business, Distinctive Design. The decorations and much of what you see have come through Kelly Isaacs and through Fayette Regional Health System. And just want to say a thank you to them as well. We're grateful for the new chamber members that joined our association in 2018. Welcome on board. There's exciting things that are going on in Fayette County and in the city of Connorsville, and the chamber is proud to be part of what's happening and helping promote and partner with so many great organizations. We were glad to see that in 2017 in the fall that Discover Connorsville, which is the new Main Street organization through the state of Indiana, it is up and running. And there are so many who are in our downtown business corridor and through other organizations that have put a lot of sweat equity into making this organization happen. And the chamber, our board of directors, have committed to make this organization successful and to do everything they can to partner and to work with them. Speaking of our board of directors, I'm very privileged to serve with a very professional, great board of directors. We do have a new elected executive team. Now, they are the same members that served last year, but I do want to give you their names. As our president is Krista Gibson with Southern Care Hospice. Our vice president is Steve Kreider with Fayette Regional Health System. Our treasurer is Jeremiah Church with Kemper CPA Group, and our secretary is Jessica Burton with Meridian Health Services. On one final note, I do want to give just a tribute to one of our members who their business joined in early spring of 2018, Genuine Broaster Chicken. Mike McQueen is no longer with us. In a sudden turn of events, he unfortunately had his unexpected and very rapid bout of cancer, and within a matter of a few weeks passed away not too long ago, the fall of 2018. That was a big loss for our membership and for our community. The business right now, his wife is just taking some leave with the family until they decide what their next steps are. But if you're wondering why that business is closed and you didn't see that in your newsletter, we just want to pay tribute and remember Mike McQueen and just appreciate what he did in our community and while he was part of our chamber. With that said, I'm going to introduce to you the 2019 Chamber Chairwoman, Krista Gibson with Southern Care, and she's going to bring us our year in review. Krista?
Good evening. The chamber membership grew in 2018 with the welcomed opening of new and remodeled restaurants, specifically the Daniel Girls Farmhouse restaurant on 6th Street and Central Avenue, and Brian's Bistro and More on Central, sporting a fabulous remodel and name change to reflect the menu and atmosphere owner Brian Kays wanted to create. Monthly information on chamber activities and news is distributed through our electronic newsletter, emailed at the beginning of each month. Distribution reports show that only 32% of our membership open the newsletter. If you're one of those who doesn't read it, you are missing out on important information that keeps you updated on our business, community, and opportunities that help your business succeed. Updates on state and federal labor laws, small business workshops on topics such as point of sale solutions for your business legislative lunches and businesses, personnel changes, just to name a few. If you're not receiving the newsletter, please call the Chamber office to make sure that we have your current email. Since we rolled out the new Chamber website, this has become a vital communication tool for not only our members, but also the community and region at large. With the tie-in to Google's updated search engine, more than just your businesses is available to the cyber world. We post job openings, announce relocations, share important dates on business education events, and invite the community to use this public forum for their event advertising. Our calendar of events has become a one-stop shop for the public, and the more they view, the more exposure your business receives. The Chamber is actively using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as venues to keep you connected with your community. In 2018, the Chamber partnered with the Indiana Small Business Administration to bring a series of workshops each quarter that focuses on specific areas of business development. May kicked off the series with Business Startup Basics, followed by How to Read Your Financial Statements, Financial Planning. A well-attended Marketing Your Business was in November, and the final wrap-up for the series was last month with the search engine, How to Put Your Business on the Map with Google. We are extremely grateful for the ISBDC for their partnership with the Chamber in Fayette County. Our next session will be February the 19th at our Business Roundtable lunch on the topic, Dipping Your Toes into Social Media. The date is not yet finalized. However, keep an eye out on the calendar for our new legislative series with the U.S. Social Security Administration, Office of Small and Disadvantaged Businesses. They will bring a special seminar later this quarter. Early May, will be the legislative series by our state senators and state representative with an update on the final budget for the state of Indiana. We appreciate our members who have sponsored these legislative series. Wilson, Lawson, and Myers, Groups Recover Together, Heritage House, CGS Services, Reliant Biomedical Services, and STANT. Your exclusive partnership allows us to make these regional events available to as many people as possible. The Chamber Board has made it one of our 2019 goals to renew and reshield the 4 City Gateway entrance signs. It has been 30 years since the Chamber first erected the entrance signs, and it's time to make sure these gateways reflect the renewal and rebirth when you're coming into the community. The board is in the process of getting quotes on reflective aluminum signage, and we will announce opportunities for our members to rent space for business logos on these structures. Details will be emailed to our membership. In April, the Fayette County Chamber is partnering with Wayne County Chamber of Commerce to bring the Disney Institute to our region. The cost for the program, if you travel to Orlando, is approximately $1,500 per person plus travel expense. We will be offering the members this session for $549 or $499 if you catch the early bird. Non-members can attend for an additional $50. The cost to bring the Disney Institute to town is significant. So this is how working together on a regional level with surrounding chambers helps our members take part of great programs with significant savings. Read the upcoming newsletter for details. From certificates of origins for our overseas shippers to connecting local members with each other, the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce works for you and your business needs. We look forward to serving you in this new year. So sit back and enjoy a great evening prepared for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next up, I'm going to introduce the guest speaker sponsor, and that is Edward Jones Investments. And representing Edward Jones Investments is Mrs. Gina Hartman. Mr. Devin Hornsby and Mr. Gary Reepsummer. Thank you. Okay, so of the three, I wasn't really sure who was going to introduce the guest speaker, so I think it's Mrs. Gina Hartman. So Gina, you can come on up and we'll introduce the guest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, very much, Andy. I appreciate that. It's all good. No problems. So tonight I am extremely excited. You have no idea. And pleased to welcome Jim Weddle to our annual chamber dinner. It all started here in 1977 when Jim came to Connersville. He opened the 200th branch for Edward Jones, and it was the first branch in Connersville where he served clients for over 7 years. So after those 7 years, the next 35 years, Jim headed to our headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri, where he had many, many, many accomplishments. So I want you to please check out his bio. I'm not going to read it to you, but I am going to just point out a few highlights. So in those 35 years, Jim was responsible for one area of growing our firm's presence on the East Coast. So we started out with 250 branch offices, and we grew to 1,000, all through Jim's efforts. So then for the last 13 years, Jim had the opportunity to guide our firm as what's called our managing partner, is what most organizations would call their CEO. And so he just had a tremendous time and did wonderful efforts that way, and he just retired on December 31st. So when you look at a person's business bio, that doesn't really tell you what a person is really, really like, and that is true for Jim as well. So I wanted to share an experience that I have. Jim would send an email on December 7th every year as he would reminisce about the open house that he would hold for his clients for over the 7 years. So what an impeccable memory, and he still remembers, the clients that he served here. So it's just evident to me that in those references in his emails that there's not a day that went by that Jim would not think about the clients and the people here in Connersville that gave him his start. And that's just the type of person that Jim is. Despite running a Fortune 500 company, Jim would still take the time and the care to think about those who gave him that start. And I would just like to say how proud I am on my behalf, as well as Devin Hornsby and Gary Reepsummer, how much we appreciate and value the legacy that Jim has brought us as we continue to serve our clients and help them reach their financial goals. So if you would please join me in a very warm welcome of having Jim Weddle come back home to Connersville. Please, warm welcome.
Thank you, folks. That was unexpected. I'm always hopeful that people will be standing and applauding when I'm done, but that was before. Gina, thank you for those kind remarks. It is really special to come back. We appreciate the invitation very much. Gertrude, thank you for the invitation, for the guidance. I did reach out to Gertrude here just a few days ago as I was preparing my comments, and I said, how long would you like me to speak? Now, I have heard that a few years ago you had someone that went way over on their time. Gertrude said you got 15 minutes. Well, I'm going to try and keep it to that. I might go over by a couple, but it won't be much. I'm keenly aware of the old saying that says a good speech has an interesting beginning, an uplifting finish, and not much in between. So I'll try to abide by that advice. Maybe a few memories, favorite memories from Connersville for Stacy and I, because we've got a lot of them. A few of the lessons learned over 42 years being in the investment business, but being in the, I guess, in various leadership roles and having that opportunity, but also a brief outlook. I am not an analyst, but a brief outlook in terms of what our firm is seeing this year coming up. It's been a very interesting set of headlines that we've all been contending with over the last few weeks. So Stacy and I count our 7 years here in Connersville as some of our best. We came here, had been married 1 year when we came here, and now we're married 42. This is where we started our family. This is where I started my career. It's where I guess I experienced the benefits of hard work and kind of servant leadership, putting others first and not quitting every day until the work was done. So how did we come to Connersville at all? I've been asked that a couple different times already since we arrived yet this afternoon. I'm going to back up and give you a little bit of background and have some fun with it. But I originally went to college, DePaul University. Stace and I met there. I was going to be a zoology major because I wanted to become a veterinarian. I loved animals. I was always the kiddo that was bringing the turtle and the snake home. Horrified my mom. But an internship my sophomore year with a large and small animal vet cured me of that career aspiration. I changed my major and I took a lot of business and accounting courses, not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. But then one of my favorite classes, and I remember this very, very fondly, although it was scary at the time, was the very first accounting course that I took. And this is one of those life lessons that you just don't forget. It was taught by an emeritus professor by the name of Pop Allen. Now, before any of us as freshmen walked into the class, we figured the pop part meant he was old. He was an emeritus professor. That wasn't it at all. Pop referred to his approach to teaching. Nothing in his course was announced. Yeah, pop quizzes, pop tests, pop midterms, pop finals. You never knew what was coming. Explaining the philosophy to us, he said, I'm teaching you some accounting, but I'm preparing you for the rest of your life. Yeah, and think about it. He said, you're going to have to show up prepared for whatever every day puts in front of you. And he says, you better be prepared in my class. And believe you me, if you weren't prepared, you didn't go. And you didn't want to be counted absent because Pop Allen knew why you hadn't shown up. A great lesson for sure. I attended Washington University right after DePaul. And the graduate business school there. In 1976, I applied for an internship, another internship, in the research department of this really tiny, tiny little brokerage firm. It was Edward D. Jones and Company. And in 1976, believe you me, we were tiny. I was working towards my MBA, had a major in finance, and I thought that I wanted to become a research analyst. Edward Jones had 150 financial advisors located in 5 states. We generated a total of about $20 million in revenues that year. That internship, though, was incredibly important. I learned 3 crucial things. First, I love the industry. It was fast-moving. It changed every day. You had to pay attention. Second, really respected the firm's business model. We put our branches in convenient locations, convenient defined by our clientele, that facilitated building strong relationships between the financial advisor and the client. And third, perhaps the most important lesson learned, I wasn't a very good analyst. And I really didn't enjoy the work of the research department. I realized after researching a company, I would call the financial advisor and I would share what the insights might have been on earnings or dividends, whatever the case was. I was on the wrong end of the phone call. I was talking to an energetic, can-do, take charge, get-it-done financial professional who was out there on the firing line where the rubber met the road in our firm, delivering the service, the guidance, and the advice to clients. I wanted to be in their seat. I wanted to be in their seat. So after graduation, 5 of my classmates, my MBA classmates, and I joined Edward Jones. I was the only one that opted to go to the field. To build a clientele, to open a branch office. All the others opted to stay in the home office. I was also, and I'm proud of this distinction, I was also by a wide margin the lowest paid member of my entire graduating class based on my guaranteed salary of $672 a month. Yeah, I remember that. Stacy, you and I remember that. I think my folks paid our rent for the first 6 months. I'm not sure. But I wasn't looking for a guarantee. I was looking for an opportunity. And we found it here in Connersville, helping clients reach their financial goals, whatever was most important to them. As was mentioned in the introduction, I opened the 200th branch for the firm. We have 17,000 today. The first location that we occupied was in Jim Giroux's building at the corner of 8th Street and Grand, the Kemper, Fisher, Faust, Lawrence and Company office at the time. Now it's Kemper CPA Group. We had a couple small offices right in the front corner. Stayed there a year and then moved over onto the Courthouse Square. Bought a building actually from Ron Ertl. I think he sold it when he became the county prosecutor. The approach then, as it continues to be today, was to go out and make face-to-face calls, introductory calls, introduce myself, learn a little bit about individuals, talk to professionals, business owners, retired people. Favorite memory of one of those very early face-to-face calls. I walked into the imposing building that was Fayette Bank and Trust Company. Went into the trust office. Henry Orshell, I know Henry has passed away, but he was a dear friend. Henry was the chief trust officer. I sat down, I introduced myself, told him a little bit about Edward D. Jones and what I was going to be doing, and he reached behind him and he pulled out a coin and he gave it to me and he says, "I'll help you make your first dollar." And I said, "Well, it's not my first dollar." Actually, it probably was, but Fayette Bank had just celebrated its 100th anniversary in 1976. So they had given out the centennial silver dollars. I have lost this silver dollar at least a dozen times over the years, and it always comes back. I've left it at friends' homes. You find it in the couch cushions, of course, in different places. But Henry was a dear friend, and I sure appreciated him helping to get us off the ground. I met about 1,000 people in the first 6 months. I called on most of them a second or a third time. We started opening some accounts and creating those client relationships, and off we went. During the 7 years that I was here, I was an active member of the Chamber Board of Directors, the YMCA Board, Rotary, to be sure, United Way Annual Campaign, Junior Achievement. Just enjoyed being involved because we were a part of the community, and Stace and I wanted then to give back, and we give back still to this day. All those things were important, and our firm feels very strongly that we continue to be active members of every community that we serve. Stace and I had our first 2 kiddos here. Lindsay is now 37 years old. Chris is 35. Their younger brother wasn't even a good idea or a bad idea in our mind at the time that we were here. He was born 5 years after we moved away. Got to tell you, one of the most difficult decisions that we made was moving back to St. Louis, though, and leaving Connersville, leaving friends, leaving the practice that we had built and the clients, but moving for a wonderful opportunity with what was at that point in time a very rapidly growing firm. Stace and I could have gone to any community that had a population of more than 10,000 or less than 50,000. Here's the reason why. It was thought that you had to have at least 10,000 in population to have enough people to call on to develop a clientele and become successful. You didn't want to go anywhere that had more than 50,000, so Richmond was clearly out because there was too much competition there. We've overcome both of those assumptions. And 75% of our offices today are in major metropolitan markets. During my time in training, I would get home on a Friday evening. Stace and I would pack a bag. We had a map marked with a highlighter and the right-sized communities between 10 and 50,000 were marked on it in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And the reason that we moved and eventually came here to Connersville is more to do with Stacy than myself. We were coming back from a disappointing visit to 3 or 4 different communities in Ohio. We just didn't care for what we saw there. It was late one Saturday afternoon. We were zipping along going west on 70, and my intent was to get to her folks' house in Indianapolis before dinner time. She said, "We're so close, let's go to that Connersville place." So as we hit State Road 1, we turned left, we came south, and we came home, quite honestly. You come into town and we saw the Ford plant on the right. I know it's changed now, but it was impressive as a gateway as we came into town. We continued down to 30th Street, went and drove down past the park. We went down and did the full circle around the courthouse square. We went down 5th Street to 5th Street Mr. Pizza. Is it still there? Get out. And we had a Diet Coke. Then we went west to Indianapolis through Rushville. And, you know, as you go out of town that way, you pass the high school and you go past these incredibly beautiful farms in the countryside. And we had found home. It just felt right. We were looking for a place to live and to raise a family. We knew we could build a business just about anywhere, but Connersville was home. It was the 11th location in the state. We were firmly convinced it was the last good location. We have 550 in the state today, so I missed a couple of those. But it was the best location because that's what we believed. Great memories of being here. Couple stories. Mark Bamer, who's over in the on the side there. Mark and I coached a T-ball team in the summer of 1978. Remember that, Mark? Neither one of us had kids. And it was 13 Saturdays in a row. I remember Mark saying, "Are you crazy?" But you know, in the News Examiner, it had been reported that there were more kids that wanted to play T-ball than there were coaches. I said, "Mark, we can't do that. Come on, we can't let that happen." We coached. We played 13 games. We lost our first 3 badly, and we won the last 10. We finished in first place. But you know, I remember this, and again, one of those lessons. After losing our first game by a very wide margin, it was ugly. We took our team for ice cream at the Dairy Queen, and the kiddos were amazed. After all, we had lost sensationally. It wasn't even close. Our message, though, to the team was simple. You gave it your best. You didn't quit even when we were behind, and that was something to celebrate. And, gee, we did celebrate. You better believe the team was playing hard the next day, or the next week. The move back to St. Louis headquarters was exciting. It was hard. As I mentioned before, we're leaving good friends, the Bamers and Hankins and Bates and Campbells and Willises and Robinsons and lots of wonderful friends that we continue to stay in touch with today. But the home office offered an opportunity that looked unbelievably exciting. As I said, we were growing pretty rapidly at that point in time. Had the opportunity to be involved in a variety of different areas of the firm, learned a lot in every one of those areas, and then as Gina pointed out 13 years ago, had the opportunity to become the managing partner of the firm. It was during the 80s and the 90s and then into the 2000s. We expanded into every state. That was fairly easy. We've expanded into almost every county, and I think we are just about there. And as I said, started developing the large cities. You know, what we found was our clients are not defined by their zip code. They're defined by a mindset. Individuals that want to work with a knowledgeable professional to help them identify goals, put a plan in place, and then work real hard, staying diligent and focused to accomplish those goals, the things that are most important to them in their lives. We have badly underestimated the potential of the marketplace then, and I think still today. I thought it was necessary not just to develop a clientele here in Connersville, but I worked very hard to develop good clients in Rushville and Liberty and Cambridge City and Brookville. Today we have, I think, 9 branches in the geography that I thought I had covered, and every one of them is about twice the size of the branch that I had built. So congratulations to all of our financial advisors and the people who work with them. I want to call out a special lady here, came up to me at the beginning of the evening, Carolyn Lysing. Carolyn, are you still here? Carolyn worked with me for several years, all the way in the back. Carolyn was my branch office administrator. And the success that we build in our branches, serving our clients well, is greatly due to the assistance, the efforts, and the focus that is brought to the work of the day by our executive assistants, our branch office administrators. Carolyn, it's great to see you. Great to see you, and thank you for all that you did. Yeah. So I know I'm coming up on my time. No, it's, Edward Jones has grown. We are a larger firm today at $8 billion in revenues, $1.1 trillion. We're very proud of that. We serve 7 million serious long-term individual investors and their families. So we're large, to be sure, but we are very much the same firm that we were when I started with the firm and before. We like to say we're mission-driven, we're value-based. We have 4 foundational values. The client always comes first. We value working in partnership. We have a long-term, quality-oriented investment philosophy, and we respect the people who are a part of our firm and value their contributions. A couple words on a couple of these, if you'll allow me to. The client comes first. If you don't get that right, you're not in business. We've now been in business for 97 years. We actually worked with Peter Drucker, who some of you have probably heard of. Peter died about 15 years ago. Preeminent expert in the world, I would say, not just in the U.S., in terms of management and business. One of his key teachings was that the purpose of a firm is never to make a profit. That's not the purpose. That's not your mission. It's to create a customer. And you do that by understanding what the most important thing is to the customer, how they define value, and then you deliver it better than anybody else. Profit's important, but profit is an outcome of creating and serving those customers, clients, the way that we view them at our firm today. We value working in partnership. It's interesting to note we are a partnership. The men and the women that work at our firm own the place. We don't have shareholders. We don't have outside owners. We actually don't have any debt. We don't owe anything to anybody. And we've got a $3 billion balance sheet. We have 45,000 people at our firm. Almost 3/4 of them are client-facing. They're in the branch offices. And 25,000 of those are general or limited partners. Owners act differently than employees. They bring their A game every day. They want to do their best, and we think that's a major advantage for us. We also work in partnership with our clients. We follow a well-defined process in our work. We help clients to understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish. I used to ask people as I would have a first conversation with them, what can I help you to accomplish? In other words, what's most important to you? Send the kids to college, prepare for retirement, live a little better in retirement, leave a legacy for your community, perhaps your church, your family. Then we put a plan in place to reach the goals. We identify their time frame, their resources to get themselves there. Talk about their risk tolerance. We've all revisited our risk tolerance in the last 60 days, haven't we, with the market going up and down as it has been. And then we partner with our clients for their lifetimes to help them accomplish those goals. That third one, and this is the last one that I'll talk about, we embrace a long-term, quality-oriented investment philosophy. Yeah, we really do. That must sound more like an operating strategy than a value. It's so foundational for our firm, though. If you want to buy a penny stock, speculate with derivatives, or buy into the latest fad like cryptocurrencies, we're going to send you down the street. We're simply not going to take the order because we don't want that stuff on our statements. We don't want you being disappointed. Day traders, price shoppers, do-it-yourselfers, not going to be happy as clients of our firm. We've made choices on who we serve and who we don't, what we offer and what we won't. I'll quote Peter Drucker again, who said that you create success by building on your strengths and making your weaknesses irrelevant. In part, you do that by doing what you really, really do well, hopefully better than anybody else. And the stuff that you don't do well, you just let everybody else take care of. And it seems to have worked reasonably well for us. We talk a lot about our values. I like to say that your video needs to match your audio. By that I mean say what you believe and then do what you say. If you say one thing, act a different way, or don't deliver what you've promised, you have no credibility, and you're probably not long to be in business. So I've talked a long time. You've been very, very patient. Let me very briefly touch on a little bit of market outlook and what we see in the economy right now, because it is capturing the headlines, to be sure. We've seen unprecedented volatility in the markets really over the last couple years, but most especially good examples of that the last 2 months. It's not going to go away. I think this is the new normal, as many things are now referred to. 24-hour news cycle, energized by the internet. The electronic dissemination of that news guarantees volatility is really here to stay. That plus all the electronic trading platforms powered by their algorithms to trade at speeds that were never even imagined makes for some pretty lively market swings. We saw a dramatic and significant decline in the markets in December, didn't we? Kind of took your breath away. What was it attributed to? Well, trade talks had stalled, interest rate increases were predicted, and there was a lack of confidence in 2019 earnings. Okay. Then we just experienced the strongest markets in the month of January that we have seen in 31 years, since 1987. Down in December, right back up in January. Why? Stronger than expected earnings. The Federal Reserve is shifting to a lower gear on future interest rate increases and a healthy labor market. Job growth, low unemployment, solid wage gains. You just can't trade and make a successful investor on a long-term basis. Looking out over 2019, we've got some rough roads to navigate. You can see the potholes. There's weakness in some of our key trading partners. The European Union is contending with Brexit. There is trade uncertainty, especially with our largest partner, that's China, and we are unfortunately entering the next 2 years of a presidential political season that promises to be pretty spirited. You could probably say ugly, but it's no doubt going to be well reported in the news. So we've got lots of issues, lots of concerns, lots of things that might get in our way. What's an individual investor to do? Well, there are some rules of the road that, quite honestly, have served our clients well, that our firm embraces, and I'm going to share those with you. I'll be very brief. Number one, be sure you're properly diversified. There is no single one perfect investment. Doesn't exist. It's a cardinal rule of successful investing. It's not easy, but it's definitely required. Stick with quality. Quality performs in investments in life. When the market goes down, quality recovers first and most. Third, don't try to time the market. Can I say that again? Don't try to time the market. It's been proven time and again. You just can't do so consistently. Stay invested and don't panic. It's hard to be a successful investor if you're not invested. So don't panic. Don't back away. Stay focused on your long-term goals, not on yesterday's news, which is today's headlines, which you can do nothing about. And most importantly, and this is a plug for my wonderfully talented financial advisors who are serving the Connersville community and all those around, work with a professional. They will help you invest with your head, not your heart. They will help to put your plan in place and will help you remain focused on it over a long period of time. So folks, thank you for your patience this evening. I've delighted being here, not because of the comments I've shared, but the old friends that I've seen. This has been just a remarkable evening. Coming up, Stace and I were talking, I said, I wonder if I'll remember any names or if we'll see people that we used to know. Oh my gosh, it's been just terrific. This is really us coming home. Really enjoyed our time here when it was full-time. Wonderful opportunity to come back and share the evening with you. Congratulations to the Chamber on the progress that was shared earlier. It's impressive, and all of you pulling together will make more of that in the future. Hopefully we left Connersville a little better than we found it. It's wonderful to come back. Thanks very much.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Weddle. Thank you for coming back to Connersville and, of course, giving a speech. And thank you for coming to Connersville so many years ago and opening the first branch for Edward D. Jones in Connersville. I'm sure Gina, Gary, and Devin are very happy that you did. Moving on tonight, we're going to move into would be, of course, the award ceremony. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of recognizing the shining lights in the community, okay? And so when Gertrude asked me, actually it was Carol Hunter, but Gertrude followed up with me and asked me if I would like to be the MC tonight. I said, sure, no problem. And then she asked, she would like to talk about the shining lights, and I said, sure, that's no problem either. But then about a week later, I looked on the front page of the paper and noticed that I was nominated for Citizen of the Year Awards, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to stand up here and say that's not going to sound like I'm bragging on myself, right? Like I'm a shining light in the community and all this. And so what I really started to think about was that no matter if I win or not, if either of you win or not, okay, you really are a shining light in this community because somebody has thought enough about you to nominate you and fill out the application and to really recognize the efforts that you put in, whether it's the Beautification Award, the Small Business Award, or it is the Citizen of the Year Award. But please know that if you don't win, there's somebody out there that's really thinks a lot of you, thinks a lot of your business because you're a leader in this community and you're somebody that people want to work for. You set goals, you care about your staff, you care about your community, you care about your clients and your customers. You care about all of those things. And so that should not go unrecognized. But without further ado, okay, I would like to go ahead and move forward, and we will move right into our first award tonight, and that's going to be given or represented by Mr. Steve Kreider, and that is a Beautification Award.
Okay, I'll try to do this without the glasses here. It's far enough down there. Thanks, Andy. Tonight's first presentation is the Beautification Award, sponsored by MetroNet. All right, I'll forget that. Not enough light. Okay, it's given in recognition of an individual, group, or business that has made an outstanding contribution to the effort of beautifying and raising the image of Connersville and Fayette County. Congratulations to the 3 organizations nominated for making visible improvements to the facility and grounds: NATCO Credit Union, Fayette County Historical Museum, and Superior Oil. We'll give a little round of applause for all 3 of them, please. It's my privilege on behalf of MetroNet to announce the 2018 recipient of the Chamber's Beautification Award, Fayette County Historical Museum. I'd like to invite Brad Coulter, the president of the Historic Museum, to the stage. I'm going to resume the nomination before he gets his hands on the goods. Historic Connersville has blessed our community with their brand new museum located at 5th and Grand Avenue. Historic Connersville purchased and remodeled the Wells Building located in the main staging area of our downtown. In a bold move to improve the visibility and be part of a regeneration taking place in the Central Business District, Historic Connersville took a building that was uninviting and distressed and turned it into a beautiful showcase. This investment by Historic Connersville helped the museum and the community. First, the Historic Museum moved from a less visible location on Vine Street to a hub where locals and visitors gather. As one nominator mentioned, the move put the museum where our county sees the most visitors. It complements the Whitewater Valley Railroad and the many excursions that bring thousands of visitors to the community. Since the new museum location opened, attendance has increased weekly, including 112 visitors during the recent December Winterfest event. This project is a great addition to downtown. Secondly, the remodeling and relocation of the museum expanded the opportunity to showcase artifacts that define Connersville, like the Auburn, the Cord, McFarland Classic Automobiles, American cabinets that are still in place and used in the museum, as well as many other highlights that preserve our legacy. Anyone who travels to or through Connersville will most likely see the new building and the newly located museum greatly enhance the look of downtown Connersville. On behalf of MetroNet, it is my privilege to present this award for the Chamber of Commerce Beautification to Fayette County Historical Museum. Would you like to say a few words?
I happen to be president today, but I want to thank all the people that made that possible. In particular, the Sefton ladies who donated hundreds of thousands of dollars, helped us rehabilitate the facility. Donna Schroeder, whose idea it was to open there to begin with, and just dozens of people that helped. But I just want to ask all of you to pay us a visit, come see the museum. It's really nice. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve, and congratulations again, Brad. We're going to have the next presenter for the Small Business and Entrepreneur Award come forward, and that would be Chip Orban with Duke Energy.
Okay. Well, you adjusted it a little bit, but not quite enough for me. I'm sorry. Can you see me? My name's Chip Orban with Duke Energy, and I've been with Duke about 33 years. I was 6'1", 140 when I started, and after 30 plus years in this industry, this is what happens. So the Small Business Entrepreneur Award is being presented tonight by Duke Energy. And it's given to a small business or entrepreneur that demonstrates and exemplifies the American dream of free enterprise and success. The award is given to a business that has and continues to make a significant contribution and impact on the community by their superior or unique accomplishments in the operation of their business or other endeavors. Through its integrity and charity, this small business or entrepreneur should provide a goodwill spirit, character within the community. It's my privilege, on behalf of Duke Energy, to announce the 2018 recipient of the Chamber's Small Business Entrepreneur Award to CK Fasteners. Jim, or Justin, or Jason Graves, if you're here, if you could come on up. And we'll keep reading, but come on up, Jason. Small business are the lifeblood of the economy. Their owners pour their blood, sweat, and tears into making the venture a success. Jason Graves started his fastener business as recently as 2015, after being in the industry since 1996. CK Fastener services surrounding counties with a growing market nationwide. Jason is married to Karen Graves, and they have 4 children, Chandler, Connor, Candace, and Catherine. And this is where the CK comes from in the name of the company. His first entrepreneurial venture started in a windowless, unmarked building on Washington Street. Unless you were the UPS driver, you really didn't know where this business was operating. In fact, Gertrude mentions that she actually had to stalk the UPS driver down while she was waiting outside to find out where the business was in 2016. Can you envision Gertrude waiting and stalking? His small warehouse was neatly organized with rows of well-marked containers of metal fasteners, hinges, nuts, bolts, and other widgets that manufacturers needed. At some point, I really want to know what a widget is. Can you explain that later? That was Gertrude. Okay. At that time, Jason wasn't concerned with his storefront. He knew the competition with the big brand names. However, he had the confidence that segments of this market were not being reached through fast online order and delivery. In January 2018, Jason announced his relocation to a larger building on 30th Street and the addition of a new employee to support his business growth. CK Fasteners operates primarily in the hardware and miscellaneous fasteners industry within the wholesale trade durable goods sector, and is a distributor of fasteners, cutting tools, and abrasives. In just 5 short years, CK Fasteners has outgrown their 2 locations. In fact, in 2018, Jason purchased a property at 116th East 11th Street, where he is currently located. You will see the remodeling on this property to support the growth and expansion he has planned, in the near future. Jason has 2 employees and is a regular supporter of youth teams and charities in our county, and I'm proud to say the UPS man and Gertrude will be able to find him clearly. On behalf of Duke Energy, it's my pleasure to present the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce Small Business Entrepreneur Award to Jason Graves, owner of CK Fasteners. Jason?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm very blessed. I'd like to thank the chamber and all the board members and committee members. Thank my wife, my family, put up the sacrifice. It's a lot of hard work, but truly blessed. Thank you all. Thank you very, very much.
I'd like to invite Melissa Myers, President and CEO of Union Savings and Loan Association, to join us for the final presentation.
I know that Gertrude runs a tight ship and keeps us all on task time-wise, but she also said I could ad lib. I'm not sure how far she wanted me to take that, but I just thought we'd just take a moment, and if any former recipients of the Citizen of the Year Award are here, if they'd like to stand so we could recognize them. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I've got to just get kind of my eyes here squared away, so if you'll excuse me for just a minute. So, Union Savings and Loan is proud to sponsor the presentation of this award. This award represents the highest recognition given by the Chamber to an individual member of the business community. Candidates must be or have been active in the Fayette County business community with the following criteria: demonstrated leadership, success in promoting the development of the community, overall involvement in and contributions to the community, participation in professional activities, and respected among the community's leadership. 6 individuals were nominated for their outstanding efforts in leadership in helping promote and develop our community. As I call your name, would you please stand? Carolyn Bunzendahl, Carolyn's very involved in our community, just to name a few items: Discover Connorsville, House of Ruth, and very involved in her church, First United Methodist Church. Brad Coulter, Brad is a department head at Connorsville Utilities. As we know, he's president of our Connorsville Museum, and if you have not been there, please take the opportunity to go. When we were there on the opening, Brad gave us a little bit of a tour and pointed out some items and gave us so much information that we knew about things we knew nothing about. He's just a wealth of information, so if you get a chance, please go over. And he's also past president of the Historical Preservation Committee. Tara Henry Madden. Tara, of course, farms with her father and family. Tara started the first Relay for Life here in Fayette County. Tara does a lot of work behind the scenes with not-for-profit organizations, some of those including the House of Ruth. Thank you, Tara. Oh, okay, Salvation Army. Okay. Becky Marvel. Becky works for the Purdue Extension. One of the great things that Becky helps us with here in our community starts in May and goes through October, and that's the farmers market downtown. And so that is a great thing that she's helped bring to the community, and she works tirelessly with that, as well as being involved in the Fayette County School Wellness, Food Wellness Program. Mike and Jenny Sparks. Now you know Mike and Jenny, they come as a team. But Mike and Jenny, of course, chaired the Connersville Bicentennial a few years ago, and this year they are chairing the Fayette County Bicentennial. And of course, they are refurbishing the Newkirk House, which is just going to be a wonderful addition to our community. Dr. Andy Yaryan. So as we know, Dr. Andy Yaryan has Yaryan Eye Center. And the great part about Andy is this young man, he left, he went to school, and he wanted to come back to Connersville. So that's just wonderful. Andy supports financially many organizations here in the community. He's on the Fayette County School Board. He is part of the board of directors for Franklin County National Bank, and he also gives free eye exams to the elementary students. It is now my privilege on behalf of Union Savings and Loan Association to announce the 2018 recipient of the Chamber Citizen of the Year Award, Dr. Andy Yaryan. Congratulations. So I'd now like to read to you the words that were written on behalf of Andy nominating him for this award. Dr. K. Andrew Yaryan grew up in Connersville and then attended Indiana University Bloomington, where he graduated from medical school with a doctorate in optometry in 2008. His plan was always to return to Connersville after graduation and open his practice as a way of serving the needs of his hometown. He sincerely loves Connersville and knew he wanted to do something for the betterment of our city. Yaryan Eye Care Center was founded in 2009 and has successfully grown and expanded into additional practices. Dr. Yaryan made the decision to give back to the town he grew up in and loves. Since returning, Dr. Yaryan has regularly donated time and money to the community. To date, he has contributed over $67,000 to various clubs, athletic groups, and area school projects. Dr. Yaryan gives his time each year to do free school eye screenings for first graders at the local elementary schools. He also donates glasses to VOSH Indiana to help those in need. Dr. Yaryan actively contributes to the endowment for the betterment of our city. In addition to running a successful business, Dr. Yaryan also serves on several committees and boards to aid in the development of the city of Connersville. Those include Commissioner for the Board of Aviation for our local airport, elected member of the Fayette County School Corporation Board of Trustees and Board of Directors for Franklin County National Bank, including Chair of the IT Steering Committee. Dr. Yaryan is a respected member of the business community. He is loved by his patients in Connersville and the surrounding towns. With an office in Brookville and another soon to open in Rushville, Dr. Yaryan's leadership and service speaks beyond the county borders. Andy, thank you for giving back and sharing your time and talents to make Connersville and Fayette County a better place to live. And so it is my pleasure, on behalf of Union Savings and Loan Association, to present the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce 2018 Citizen of the Year Award to Dr. Andy Yaryan.
Thank you so much. Sure, go ahead. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, Rick. Thank you. Yeah. So, you know, it's to be honest, it really comes as a shock. I didn't think I was going to win. I mean, there's so many great candidates for it. You know, Becky and what she does. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, what they do for the community. Brad Coulter. I mean, all of us. You know, we're true assets. You're all true assets to the community, and it's really inspiring to be, you know, nominated and of course to receive the award. But you know, I think that giving back, you know, whether it's your time, money, or energy. And at this point in my life, I have a lot more time and energy than I do money. But I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, I really enjoy doing. You know, I really look forward to being part of the school board and part of the Board of Aviation for Commissioners, and also serving on Franklin County Bank Board of Directors. You know, last month, actually in the month of December, what we did was we talked about donating to Vosh, but you know, for every pair of glasses that we sold or prescribed, we decided we were going to donate a pair of glasses to Vosh, and Vosh is a optometric student help, and they go down to third world countries and they donate eye exams and do things. So, but we donated 196 pair of glasses to those people, and so you know, it's a great thing to be part of the community. It's great to be supported, and you know, I always make it a point to donate back to pretty much anybody that you know, is in need. You know, I'll find a way to help you. I'll find to do something. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I will represent the position of volunteer, or excuse me, sorry, I'm a little bit lost for words, for this award for Citizen of the Year. So thank you very much. Okay, so now I got to finish my duties as MC, and and so no, I really do want to thank everybody for showing up tonight and taking your time out of a Tuesday night to come and celebrate with us all. I hope you all got to catch up with some people, just as Mr. Weddle did, and then you know, hopefully sparked a few new relationships and striked up some conversations. But then again, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for supporting the chamber, and thank you to all of our sponsors. So thank you, and have a good night. We look forward to having a great 2019. Thank you.